All pepped up after Sameer's talk about AI. Yeah. So what I will try to do is, now that Sameer has laid the kind of foundation of what AI is and how India can become a large AI power, what I will do is try to give you a view of how enterprises can bring AI into their operations, into their day-to-day life, so that it makes the operations of the enterprise much more efficient, and we'll kind of look at some of the use cases and what are the approaches to do that. So let me begin by asking you this simple trivia question. What percentage of companies have done one or more AI implementation by 2017? Any guess? Sorry? 30? Okay. Any other numbers? 10? Okay. So the highest is 30, the lowest is 1-2%. Huh? 5 to 10%. As per this is Gartner data, what came out is only 6% have actually deployed an AI solution till the end of 2017, and maybe another 6% are implementing, which means that only 12% of the organizations have been able to do something meaningful with AI. How many of you are surprised with these statistics? Just by the raise of the hand, anybody? Anybody surprised, or it's okay? Now, why is it that AI has been there for so long and the hype has kind of continued for 3-4 years in the past 3-4 years, but still the organizations are still scratching the surface? What is the reason behind that? Any views? Sorry? They're not clear about what they want? Lack of AI infrastructure? Understanding the business solution? Very nice. I think scattered data. They don't know what data is lying and how to use it. What else? Talent base. I think as Sameer was talking about, the understanding of AI and the skills available on AI is still scarce. People understand it. And so when I talk to a lot of my CIO friends, the famous quote which every CEO asks is, why are you not doing AI? And it is very difficult for a CIO to explain as to what do you mean by why are you not doing AI, right? And I think this is a very golden opportunity for CIOs and CTOs in large enterprises to basically help and educate the business as to what AI means. And what I will try to do today is try to give you a very, very practical view of how should an organization look at bringing AI or kind of building on the AI journey into an organization. So just wanted to understand how many of you are kind of end user companies who are going to implement AI or analytics driven AI solutions in your company. Just wanted to, so these are the set of people who will use AI as a kind of competency and capability, and I'm assuming the rest of the people are service providers who will go and help organizations build those AI capabilities into the company. Now, what I will try to do is I will try to give you a view of how to approach this journey, how to structure this journey, what are the myths around it, and how can you kind of overcome some of the myths which are kind of outlined in the presentation. So how do you bring AI into your enterprise? So there are 5 myths which I have listed down here, and I kind of spent some time understanding and explaining you some of these. So when somebody when a CEO comes and talks to a CIO, say, why are you not doing AI? The first reaction somebody would say that, why don't you go and purchase something in AI? Is that possible? We cannot go and purchase AI solutions from outside. That is the first myth that the boards and the CEOs and everybody need to understand. It is not a ERP solution which you go to a shop, do 3-4 evaluations and bring it into an enterprise. And that is the biggest myth, and that is why if you see the numbers in the earlier presentation, the number of implementations, successful implementations are so low, because there is nothing outside available ready-made for your organization. Every organization needs a very, very different and a custom and a tailor-made AI solution for its enterprise. There may be some core capabilities that you may want to use, but more or less every organization, based on its processes, based on its capabilities and the needs which are there is no ready-made AI solution which is available. Second, a lot of people in the last phase, what was the hottest title which was there, which the organizations kind of incorporated? Something called as a Chief Digital Officer, right? It was nothing but a re-christened name of a CIO or a Chief Technology Officer. And there have been questions as to, do you need a Chief Analytics Officer or Chief AI Officer? How many of you think that it is something which is needed? Gentlemen there, yes sir. You feel that you need a Chief AI Officer in an organization in order to promote, okay, but not to implement. Yeah. My view is that there is nothing called as a Chief AI Officer. Yeah, it is a business who has to own the AI solution, business who has to work on understanding the needs of the business and then use technology to deliver that solution and reap the benefits out of that AI. Bringing a separate AI officer can only help in propagating and understanding AI, but I think the owners of the AI solution needs to be with the business, and business has to own it and drive it. AI implementation, Samir talked in the previous session, will replace human beings. I think this topic has been beaten to death. Not happening in the lifetime that we will see. We will always have superior positioning as compared to machines. We'll do something superior which the machines cannot do, because we are the creators of machine and machines will continue to do. There may be some activities which may give it to machines for the benefit of us only. And the last two are something which are quite interesting, in which people have a view that, okay, I build a machine learning algorithm and it will start learning on its own and it will start delivering on its own. One of the biggest myths that I have seen, and this is, I think, one of the biggest impediment for a lot of AI solutions not able to achieve its benefit, which has been laid down. People agree with this? Yeah? And it's easy to train an AI model. Absolutely not. These are all difficult sciences. AI as a word was coined in which year? Anybody knows? (1956). The first implementation of a full-fledged large industrial AI model actually came in the early 90s. That was the first time. So just imagine from 1956 till early 90s it took, and from early 90s till now is the first time that we are seeing 12% of the companies actually implement it. So this is difficult. It's not easy. And so if people think that just implementing a chatbot is going to revolutionize my company, I think the answer is no. So what is it? What do we need to do? I've made the scenario a little bit gloomy here, but with the right intention. You need to do it the right way. It's not that it's not possible. Analytics came in about 7-8 years back. How many people, what is the percentage of organizations actually making use of data in the company? Any guess? There was a Harvard study which came out. What percentage of organization data is being used today? It is 4%. That is the state of affairs today. So we need to be extremely careful as to what we are doing. We need to do it right so that we are able to get the benefits out of it. So I will now kind of talk about certain use cases where AI has gone a bit wrong. Anybody, I think there was a news around this event which happened. Yeah? Excellent use of AI. Yeah? Live, real scenario playing out. What went wrong? the model is not trained for all the scenarios. If you thought that by testing only a certain models you can roll it out and the customer will see this, immediately the next day the bot was down, just so that you are aware. We don't want this casualty to happen. Nothing wrong, chatbots are good, but not this outcome is not good. Okay? Second use case. Eyes are open, right? Everybody can see that. Live scenario by one government implementing this solution, and this guy is not able to move ahead. Trying to upload the photo again and again, but still not accepting it. Again, what went wrong? Scenarios, model, data. And that is why the percentage is low. It's not easy. Third case, and this is again a live case in Germany. One very passionate household owner goes out, has a late party outside. Somehow, the Alexa also started partying at 1:20 in the night. All alone, started partying at 1:20 in the night. The police had to be called. The police came in, broke the door, put their lock. The guy came in at 3, found a house is not opening, went to the police station, paid a hefty fine to open the door. But this guy did that. $2,000, a $140 device was responsible for a $2,000 fine. So these are real examples. And what does it signify? It signifies that building AI solutions is not easy. You need to have a proper strategy, and you need to have a lot of thought through before implementing and rolling it out to your large customer base. So what does it take? If you can just play the video, please. So this is again live research, kind of experimentation to do what comes out. And so again and again what is coming out is, if really we have to get real meaning out of it, what Samir talked about, if we have to get the value out of the various use cases, the 6-7 use cases that he talked about, it has to be thought through. Organization need to understand it, and if we are looking at social data, the data has to be understood well. Just imagine if a crop recommendation goes wrong, just imagine what will happen to this country. We will starve. The whole entire nation will starve. So it is very, very important and critical that we build a journey which is meaningful in a controlled way so that we don't get into these kind of problems. So what are the key large challenges? It is hard to integrate cognitive projects with existing processes. I think one of the biggest impediments of adopting AI in today's context. Technologies and expertise is expensive. which obviously should be. Managers don't understand, I think somebody was talking about the capability is not there. And we don't have enough technologies which are still maturing. So these, how do you overcome these marketplaces? So I will kind of give you a very, very simple practitioner view of what an organization should do to adopt and start implementing AI solutions within their enterprise. So let me kind of start to build a little bit of basics here. Samir talked about it. If it has to be an AI solution. Now, if you see a lot of recent use cases, AI has been starting to be misused. People do a little bit of automation through a script and something and they call it AI, yeah, which actually is not. So if I were to put in some kind of basic guidelines, there has to be some amount of NLP, speech recognition, or text-to-speech recognition kind of a solution which should be there. There has to be some amount of algorithms using machine learning models, deep learning models, things like that. There has to be either some amount of vision and vision analytics responsible for that, some neural networks, machine learning models, or at the end, you would have some amount of IoT and sensors and robotics in place. So if your solution is not looking at any of these, it is not AI solution. And that is the first thing that somebody needs to kind of talk through and understand. And so the simple example which I always tell my team is, there has to be at least 2 out of the 3 things. The 3 things are software, sensors, and algorithms. And any AI solution should have either of 2 of these: software, sensors, and algorithms. If you don't have 2 of these, it will not kind of cut it to make it a AI solution. That is the first thing that you need to do. So that's the basics. Then obviously, what are the outcomes of those? These are the 4 things which are there. They could be in terms of virtual assistants or bots. There could be dealing with conversational commerce, doing something with interaction with your customers. There needs to be some amount of sophisticated predictive modeling which should be there, or there should be some amount of automation and smart objects which needs to be implemented as part of this. So I just want to take a pause. Is this a good holistic perspective of what an AI solution should look like? Any thoughts? Anything which, sorry? Yeah, I'm talking purely from an enterprise perspective. This does not cover government and social initiatives to begin with, because the scope here is how organizations can start their AI journey. Sorry? Reliable data. So those are all foundational elements, very well. So I think if we were to kind of say that these are some of the foundational elements which needs to be there, how do you start building a journey for yourself? And what I have put on this slide is, there is a step-by-step approach that you need to do with the end goal in mind. There needs to be a beginning in which you start understanding and automating processes using assisted intelligence. What it means is simple, very, very simple task which the human beings do. Try to do that with the help of machines. So for example, I represent Arvind brands. We predominantly manufacture a lot of branded apparel. The approximate number of quantities that we manufacture every year is about 4 crore pieces, right? And if I have to basically, and it is sent across to, let's say, 1400 stores, 7 warehouses, 3000 multi-brand outlets. So distributing 4 crore pieces across this complex supply chain network is a task which human beings were doing using Excels and other planning and replenishment solutions. Now, how do you basically start using machines. So what you do is, you start giving some amount of task. So for example, obviously one task which is needed for replenishment is to understand the sales pattern and do a forecasting. Very simple. You start your journey with that assisted intelligence to begin with. How can you build a model which is doing some part of the activity which the human being was doing with a machine? And that is your first step. Once you have done that, you train it, test it, make sure that it is always replicating what the human beings were doing, try to look at the edge scenarios, look at the model, look at everything, how it works. Then you move to second stage, which is augmented intelligence, in which you basically try to rely more on the machine and the algorithm, by which you say that let the machine do the job and I will just monitor and oversee it. You are just kind of an oversight to the machine. And the third level is which I call it as autonomous intelligence, is when the machine itself is doing a lot of jobs, and only on very, very edgy outlier cases is when human intervention is required. Now, if you don't follow this three-step process, and believe me, if I were to implement a automatic machine-driven replenishment solution, saying that, okay, 200 people who are doing my planning and replenishment function, remove them and put in a bot, I think it would be a disaster. I have to start on these three pillars, in which I say that, look, these are the tasks which I will give the machine to do. You please oversee that. Once the tasks are done, you basically then give the entire process to that machine. That machine will actually start building some of the replenishment strategies and replenishment models, and then you basically oversee that. Once you are very comfortable in doing that, that is when you basically go and do a autonomous deployment of that kind of a solution. And let me ask you this, how much time, so far I gave you that example of replenishment, how much time do you think it will take for any enterprise to adopt and implement that kind of a solution? Several years. But your CEO says, oh, AI should be done in 3 months. Absolutely. And nothing against them, but that is what the hype is. So there is a belief that it is a magic button, it's a magic wand, you just put in something and tomorrow the sales will go up, the profits will go up and everything will be hunky-dory. No, absolutely not. You have to go through this holy grail, and this is an individual journey. It is not a journey that you can go and purchase. There is no solution that you can purchase and implement and say that I am done with AI. All right. So how do I identify the correct business case for UI, for AI? The first important activity, there are 4 parameters which I have kind of highlighted here, which basically will give you a broad kind of a framework of what needs to be built as part of the AI business case. So can the process and activity be automated fully? Now that is the first important kind of a judgment that you need to take. So for example, the other thing which we do, so we do a lot of designs, right? We do a lot of apparel design, and there was a view that there is a possibility that we completely automate the fabric designing process. Now, theoretically it is true, but I don't think practically it is possible in the near future, in which somebody just creates design on its own without any human intervention. And so that is not a process that you should start identifying and deploying AI solution on. Whereas the replenishment solution is more a solvable problem using the technologies and the platforms that we have today. And do we have the data for the same? I was talking about the replenishment solution. If I don't have all my stock data from all the 1400 nodes which are there in the supply chain, what use the data model or the replenishment model will have? And is the data set big enough? Yeah. So if there is a 30 store supply chain, 30 store retail chain which is there, which just kind of creates, let's say, 30 MB of data or 1 GB of data, is there any benefit in implementing an AI solution for that? Excel can do a better job than AI. in that case. So let us make sure that we start implementing AI solutions where the amount of data that you want to process is really huge. And that is the only when, because the AI as a technology is costly, and you need to make sure that if the data set is big, then only you will be able to get benefit out of that AI solution. And is the outcome improved or fixed? What does it mean? It means that if the outcome is fixed, there is very little relevance of a machine learning model to do anything. Only and only when there is improvisation of the model, there is benefit that you need to reap over and over again by learning, by making the model learn, by making the model more intelligent. That is where the actual benefit of the AI will come in. For example, somebody said that we'll put RPA, yeah, and some of them are kind of now being replicated, saying that RPA is also part of AI. I believe not, because the output is fixed. If you are processing all the invoices in your organization using a RPA solution, the output is fixed. It will only continue to process invoices. And so the benefit is also limited. So look at opportunities where the outcomes are improving. So for example, replenishment. You can continuously develop more and more models in terms of better replenishment, better strategies, and the strategies can evolve and improve over a period of time. Those are the cases where I think application of AI can be much more meaningful. So, step-by-step approach in terms of how to implement an AI solution. And the first important, I think a lot of you touched upon that. If you don't have data in your organization, don't start your AI journey. And most of the organizations, Samir talked about earlier, if we have to achieve some of the things that we talked about, we need to take care of our data. I think the ability to appreciate importance of data and bring them all into one platform for it to be used by AI solutions is a journey and a task in itself. And I believe that that effort has been undermined, and we have always talked about the analytics and the AI solution which are the far end of the spectrum, whereas your first journey should begin with how do you bring all the data, how do you clean all the data, how do you ingest all the data into a platform which is then available for the AI algorithms and machines to use, which is the first and the most important step. Second, build a learning system in which there has to be feedback loop, which is one of the most important thing. Earlier systems, so ERP systems and most monolithic systems were all unidirectional. There was no feedback loop, which means that it did not learn from the mistakes that it did. And that is the difference that you need to look at. And none of the solutions that you buy in the market will have this ready-made available, because the feedback that you need to build is very, very organization specific. You need to make sure that you understand where things can go wrong. You need to understand what are the things that I need to do to improve my outcome of the machine learning algorithm which is there. And that is something which you need to work on. So you have input data, you have a learning system, and then obviously you look at the output, see what the outliers are, see where it is getting wrong, feedback that, and have a continuous learning and a building solution based on some of the algorithms which are there. And how do you do that? Iterative, agile methodologies are the only way that you can implement these kind of solutions, in which you basically start with a very, very simple POC. You frame the problem, start with a POC, prepare the data for that, develop the model, and then you try to implement it on a very, very small use case or a business case which is there. Learn from it, see how it is working, then you basically execute it on a production like large environment, which is the second loop. So if you see from the left, there would be something which is a prepare data, develop model, and then that is a small loop, which is nothing but a small contained POC loop. And if you see that all the examples that I talked about earlier, if those scenarios are tested well, I think we'll never land into those kind of situations. So you do that first loop, then you go to a slightly bigger loop with a bigger data set, with a bigger business problem, which is a 3-step model which I talked about earlier: assisted, augmented, and autonomous. Right? So the first one is actually an assisted model, in which you basically oversee the outcomes which is happening, look at the outcomes which are there, try to work on it, and then basically move on to a slightly more augmented model. And once you are very confident as to what the outcome is, then you basically productionize it and then work towards that. Any questions about the approach? Yes. Yep. Can you just, for the benefit of the audience?
You spoke about data lake implementation. At what stage do you think the data lake would come into picture when you talk about data repositories and fetching data from different data sources?
I would say data lake as a concept has to be one of the foundation elements for you to start on an AI project. Now, what it means is, obviously you cannot have all the data of the entire enterprise brought into a data lake on day one. It's a journey. You cannot have it. So the approach that we have taken, and I've seen that working in a large enterprise. So for example, if you say that I want to implement a AI solution in the supply chain space, so then you first try to bring in all the supply chain data into that data lake, and then build that first foundational element of that supply chain data into the data model which is there. Then try to implement some of the supply chain models. Once you have done that, then you extend it to other parts. So let's say next you want to go to marketing, and then you basically look at all the customer and marketing data and brought into it. Then you see what is the kind of correlation, what are the similarities between the data of marketing and supply chain, and then try to bring that. And this is an evolution which is a parallel evolution along with your AI journey that you need to kind of continue to do that. Yeah, but if you want to start on a problem, you need to make sure that that part of the data lake is built up and running. Then only your AI journey will be successful in that area. Yeah, makes sense?
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
Hello. Sir, you mentioned about conversational commerce being a part of an AI solution. What does it exactly entail? Right here.
Okay, yeah. If you don't mind standing,
So my question was around conversational commerce.
Yeah, sure.
What exactly does it entail?
Yeah, so I think very good question. And what it means is, obviously, speech, text, and video are going to be one of the key driver elements for any AI model in the coming days. So I will kind of give you a perspective from a retail context. There are chatbots which now enable commerce as well. So for example, there are solutions which are built, a lot of people have tried it, in which you basically start, let's say you take a picture of a apparel that you like, and then you upload into that application, or you start conversing with that application. The application then looks at that picture, understands on a real-time basis, okay, you have uploaded a polka dot top into the application. It will try to look at that as an entity, and then it will try to look at your history, saying that what you have been purchasing, and based on the two correlations that are there, it will try to say that, madam, you may like this also if you want to purchase it. And that is an opportunity in which app can actually say that, okay, these are the options, and if you like some of that, you basically go and do a purchase on that. So this is a classic example of a conversational commerce platform based on text and image. Very much possible in today's context. So there are, but only thing is, the amount of training that you need to do, because you can go and upload any picture, and your model to understand any picture, and then try to relate with your behavior, and then try to recommend something which is relevant, is a very hard problem to solve. People are working on it. I'm pretty sure that in the next few years, people will be able to crack it, and you will see a lot of conversational commerce platforms which are there. So I'm talking from a retail perspective, and obviously chatbots and all those things, they are part of your conversational commerce platforms which are already there.
Sir,
Yes.
Anurag from Fidelity International.
Sure.
A little going on a tangent. If an organization has a CTO and a CEO, how should we progress on this journey?
CTO and a
COO.
Chief Operating Officer.
Yeah. Because clearly they never get along with each other.
So it depends on the I would say the use case which is there. So neither of them, if you ask me honestly a theoretical answer, neither of them should own that solution. So for example, in Fidelity, somebody says that, okay, in fixed income securities, we want to implement something wherein I am able to recommend something better to my customers. Just giving a hypothetical example. It has to come from the business, from the head who owns the fixed income division. Rather than and then the person has to collaborate with the CTO and the CEO to develop it and implement it for the business. So the sponsor has to be the business, CEO and the CTO has to be enablers only. If they start, see where a lot of these, why that implementations are so low is because the CTOs are now kind of standing up and saying that, look, this is what will happen, these are the things that we need to do, and there is no business buy-in which is there, which is actually creating this low rate of adoption. And obviously, if you don't collaborate with the business and the business is not the sponsor of it, obviously you will not get access to data, you will not get access to a lot of scenarios, which is where some of these models are not trained enough to give you the right output.
Hi, this is Vibhuth from Fidelity again. What's your view on AI in the consumer products?
Yeah, sure.
What's your view on the AI in consumer products? Because we see a lot of phones coming up with AI cameras. And does that really help the consumers, and where do you see the future of AI in consumer?
So the AI which is being launched, so let me tell you, I'll answer it in a couple of steps is, AI implementation in a B2B context is far easier. The problems may be difficult, but it is slightly easier to implement. For example, if you want to implement a, let's say, automated travel management solution, just giving a hypothetical case, automated travel management solution, it is slightly easier for you to implement. But if you were to do it in a B2C context, I think it is far more difficult, because you are kind of implementing, and that is what we saw, when you try to implement AI in an uncontrolled environment, the outcomes are very, very unreliable in some cases. And that is why you need to be extremely careful in a B2C context. The second is, and the most important is, the data which is available in a B2B context is far easier to get. And so your outcomes that you want from that B2B model is far more controlled. Unlike the B2C context where you can go wrong in any of the scenarios, because people want to break an AI solution which is there. It's for the fun of it. When people would know that there was a chatbot in the US, which was it was all on training mode, in which the people started using abusive language to the chatbot, and they controlled a lot. And they said that let the model learn and understand how to overcome those abusive language with the customers were using. And believe me, for the first few months, everything was fine. But after a few months, the chatbot started using abusive language on the customers themselves. And so you cannot, the number of permutation combination and the options which are there in a B2C context are so large, it is not possible to do things within a controlled environment.
Yeah, do you think that AI is confined to some learning systems, basically chatbots, drone, text, image, the computer vision? So how AI do you think will help in the business solution and to make money? How the CTO will convince the CEOs, so look, implement AI, will make money from here? So how the enterprise solution will be benefited through AI? That is basically revenue generation.
Absolutely, very good question. And so that is what I was trying to tell you, is that all the technologies that you talked about, the image recognition technology, the sensor, IoT, video recognition, and so on and so forth, these are foundational elements for AI. For example, I'll talk about a store. What we have been doing is we wanted to create a digital store. Until unless my video and image recognition technologies mature so much that I am able to do things on a real-time basis, those things will never get any revenue out of a retail store. And that is why you don't see that. Amazon Go is a classic example of how a lot of these technologies, which are foundational, so image, video search, and all the speech, text, these are all foundational technologies which are there. You need to build a business context on top of it, and that is why that business context has to be specific to that organization. It cannot be something, so if somebody says that can I go and purchase on Amazon Go? No, it is not. It is very, very context specific. And that is why you need to use some of these foundational elements. Maybe what will happen is in future, image recognition as a service may be a commodity. I don't think people will be differentiating based on saying that I have the best image recognition technologies. That will be a commodity. Video recognition or video analytics will be a commodity. How do you use that data to the benefit of the business is where the differentiation lies. And that is what the CTOs and the business need to work towards making a useful business case out of it.